Hello, everybody. Shaquita Graham here, founder of TechCoWeb.com, and I have Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses here of the SuccessfulBlackWoman.com. It's SuccessfulBlackWoman.com. Note that. How are you doing, Noma?
I'm doing great, Shaquita. What about you?
Good. We're going to talk about the other Black family that the mainstream media loves to talk about. We came across this picture and we were like, okay, wow. So I want to show you guys this illustration and we're going to just talk about this thing. It's really wild. All right, one second. Let me get my screen up here. I'm sorry. One moment. All right, here it is. This is the illustration that we saw on Facebook. I'm sorry, I don't have the person's name who did this, but they said that this is today's Black family structure. The life giver being the nurse, the nurturer being the school teacher, the provider being the caseworker from the welfare office, and the protector being the white Jesus, Lord and Savior. And at the bottom it says, part of the problem. Wow. Shots fired on that one, huh? What do you have to say, Noma?
Right. So the initial reaction to this thing is you kind of feel a little offended. But but when you really look at it, which part are we going to dispute? You know, I personally can say I gave birth at a hospital and there was not one Black person in that delivery room. You know, maybe it's because I live in Boston, but so I can't dispute that first part. I actually should know better because I talk a lot about trying to do things the natural way, but I honestly went that path of depending entirely on the medical system. I went for all the checkups. I've delivered at a hospital. My baby got the shots, you know, all that stuff. So it's hard to dispute it and be outraged. Then we have the school teacher. I can now, you know, in 2016 say, no, that's not correct for me. But the truth is I did have my kids in all white schools with all white teachers, and that was who we relied on to have more influence on our kids' minds than we did. Then we have the caseworker. I have no experience with that, but our people, our Black people, a lot of Black people, a lot of Black women on welfare, absolutely. And one of the things that I've always heard spoken about with some of these assistance programs is that they will actually require that you do not have a man in the house. And that's a fact. Then the last one is white Jesus. There's no disputing that. White Jesus is even in some people's houses. There's a plaque on the thing, and then, you know, they have some kind of, oh, you know, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord or something like that. And then they have a picture of a white Jesus. So while it may seem like it's something that can offend you, you have to look through it and see if there's some truth in it. And unfortunately, there is. What do you think?
Okay, I'm going to share my screen really quick to just talk about this. This is something we have to be careful about. We have this family structure that we have been social engineered to try to buy into, this whole nurse, school teacher, caseworker, white Jesus one, and we are surrendering this version of the Black family.
Right.
And I don't know if it's unknowingly or what it is, but this is what we need to stop. When we think about our major oppression today in the system of white supremacy, instead of looking at things in a way to be discouraging, shaming, or whatnot, I think we have to start looking at ways to counteract things. Okay, so because people love to put Black people's actions under a microscope and try to shame us and try to, you know, forget the fact that yeah, and they don't focus on how it happened, why it happened, and how to get out of it. So my thing is, when we see these kinds of things, focus on solutions and don't let people shame you, your image, and make you have like a self-hatred towards Black women or Black men, because a lot of people look at that picture and say, oh, well, this Black woman did this, and the provider is this because the Black man is this. No. let's look at it in the terms of, like our elder Francis Cress Weldon said, we have to look at this as a chess table. Okay, the object is checkmate. Okay, now all of these other people, the nurse, the school teacher, the white Jesus, these are pieces on the white supremacist side of the chessboard. We need to move our pieces against them. And as a Black woman, I just speak for the queen on the chess table. The queen on the chess table has more ability to move across that chess table than any other piece. And I think that we have to take advantage of that in a metaphorical sense, to say, as Black women, there are so many ways that we can counteract the effects of racism and white supremacy. The reason why you see the welfare system as the provider in this picture is because we're not preparing our children, and we're not focusing ourselves to lead economically on a business level. We're not focusing on being enterprising. That's what we should counteract that with. The school teacher, again, we talked about homeschool. We have so many options available at, the Black Homeschool, as well as atecoweb.com. We are not taking care of our health. That's why we're subject to the various tools of medical apartheid. So I would just say, look at that picture and say, okay, you know what? Whether it's true for me or it's not true for me, for the Black community, I'm going to be the opposite of that.
Right. I do think it's important, though, to look at the fact that, especially with the caseworker and white Jesus, that it's the substituting a black male. Okay.
Yeah.
In a typical traditional family, even if both parents work, the person who is seen as the provider and the protector in the family is the male. Okay, so when you have no man, then something has to happen in order for that family to still be taken care of. And, I know that a lot of women pride themselves in being, single, independent, and still able to manage or whatever. But the truth is that's really, really hard. And it's not necessary, and it's not natural. The more natural thing is for a family to be intact. The more natural thing is for kids to grow up loving, respecting, and appreciating both of their parents. The more natural thing is for both parents to be the ones that influence and impact the mind of their child, as opposed to a school teacher. The school system is supposed to help us educate our children if you choose to use it. But it's not supposed to be the primary source of education and impact and influence for your children. And unfortunately, it is. And the problem that I have with that is that the school system was designed with a white kid in mind. So the next time you send your kid to a school, you have to understand that they're going to a system that is designed for white kids. And the only thing that system can tell that kid is you're not white. So that means you're not smart, you're not capable, you're not. So you have to get yourself in a position where you're taking back the Black family in every way possible. And Shaquita, I'm glad you brought up that health thing. And it really is true. You don't have to be dependent on the healthcare system if you make the right decisions about your health. And you don't have to be dependent, once again, on any of these systems if you embrace and understand the importance of the Black family unit in the Black community and in society in general.
Right. And again, when I saw this picture, I felt insulted because, they have the Black woman and the Black kids looking all homely and everything. But the thing we have to do is we have to pull our self-respect together for one another. Let go of the self-hatred, let go of all of the different things. See, this was the way that this illustration was. It had suspected white supremacists handing us everything. When are we going to start being suspicious of things that suspected white supremacists give us? It's just like, okay, that they gave the Indians blankets with smallpox in them. You know that vaccines have been found to have poison in them to the point where it causes autism in Black children. You know that you've seen the poisonous water. You've seen the lies in the textbooks in the school system. You've seen all of these things, all of these institutions pointed against you. Yet, you see a suspected white supremacist smiling with their hand out with a little bit of rice in it, and you're like, oh yeah, let me take it. Or you see that bedroom with that suspected white supremacist laying in it saying, come on and get in, and you get in. Come on now. At some point we have to say, you know, I have historical evidence that every time Black people get around suspected white supremacists, Black people get harmed, whether it's man, woman, or child. I mean, you can't dispute that. And so what we have to do is recognize that and know that we can overcome everything. We can do everything we need to do in our community without the help of any outsiders. That's what we need to come to grips with, and we need to act upon.
Right. When you were talking about all those scenarios, I'm reminded of a joke, which is really not that funny. And it was attributed to the Bishop Desmond Tutu. I'm not sure if he actually said it. And he said, what happened with us in Africa is a bunch of white missionaries came and they said, let's everybody close our eyes and learn how to pray. And we opened our eyes. We had Bibles in our hand and they had all our land. And the truth is, that's how sometimes these things work. It seems like somebody's helping you, but what they really have is another agenda. And at this point, I don't know if people are watching our videos enough to recognize that the consistent message here is to be clear about where you stand. And be clear whether you're for the Black family, for the Black community, or you're not. There is no middle ground. You know, there is no middle ground. I'll be honest and say I didn't always understand a lot of things, but when I got clued in, I woke up and decided that no, I have to make a decision. I have to pick a side, and that's my side. That's my husband's side. That's my kid's side. That's every Black person I love and embrace. That's that side. And there's no shaking me. You know, we just did a segment talking about the case of Nate Parker. And again, you have to be clear about what is going on and then be clear about which side you stand on. And that side is the Black side for me. And I know it's the side that you stand on too.
I mean, and we shouldn't hesitate in saying that, because Chinese people stand on the Chinese people's side. The Hispanics, so-called Hispanics, stand on their side, and you know the white supremacists stand on their side all day long. You will be hard-pressed to find a suspected white supremacist female that will speak against white supremacy or against a white supremacist male. So, you know, we shouldn't be hesitant to say these things, because this is the reality of our survival, and we are the ones who are suffering every day. We are the ones who are being killed on TV all the time. We are the ones who are being slandered in the media. All of these things are real, and it's getting late in the day. We don't have time to keep falling for the same tricks over and over again. I mean, literally, it's like 1 million people online, Black people, who want to slit your throat if you say you should not be in bed with your oppressor. Like, you're in the middle of a war and you want to try to figure out how can you sleep with the people who are trying to kill you. Okay, so bye, Felicia. Anyway, we need to close out. We can only talk for so long on these issues, and that's why we developed you know, marriedwomensbusiness.com, where you can go and register. We are so close to launching, and I'm so excited. Also, make sure you go to Eventbrite and register for the All Black
Conference.
Yeah, the All Black Conference. I love it. I love it. All Black Conference in the ATL. If I wasn't here already, I would say make your way out here. We're going to be there, you know, and there's going to be so many. I'm trying to get Noma to make sure she's going to be here, and I'm going to be there, and it's going to be so much fun. And these are the actions that we need to take for unity, for coming together. So everybody keeps saying, oh, we need to do something, not just talk. Okay, well, let's get down here together, collaborate, network, connect, so we can do something.
Absolutely.
Thank you for watching. Noma, anything else?
No, thank you, Shaquita, and thank you, everybody, for watching.
All right.